Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dirt Report. I'm your host, Jzwills, and it is great to be here for the first time on the Collegiate R6 channel. And now, all alongside me, these are the brains behind the rankings. If you're not familiar with all their beautiful faces, we'll go clockwise, starting from over there. We've got Klimpse, we've got Taco, we've got JMBeast, we've got Miggs, we've got Jagged. They're here to give us their insight on the rankings after week one of some pretty good matches we've seen so far. How you doing, guys?
Not too bad. How are you?
Doing well. It's fun. Let's go. Awesome. Well, Klimpse, you look ready. You look like you're ready to go.
I'm
And
ready.
personally, I'm ready to go into these rankings. You want to get us started?
Yeah,
All
let's
right.
do it, dude.
Awesome. Well, we can pull them up right here. You can see where we're standing right now, and we're going to start it from the bottom. Let's take it to Auburn. Taco, what do you got to say about these guys?
One thing, Jay-Z, a lot of times you'll see, when you're looking at a team, you're saying like, you know what? Individually, they're not great players, but together they are better than the sum of their parts. Auburn is actually the exact opposite. They got some pretty good players, and when they play together, it just does not work out. And I want them to practice. I want them to scrim, but it's just not happening. Oh, thank you. C-Dep's, my coach has brought me my keys to my Lamborghini. I appreciate that. That being said, yeah, C-Dep's, of course, can't shy away from when a camera is online. So, more props to him. Appreciate him looking out. But yeah, I just wanted to say if Auburn would just maybe practice just like once a week, I could see him climbing up this leaderboard. But right now, I think they should be happy at 25th.
Jagged, you got something to add there? I know you had something about Auburn.
No, not Auburn.
Oh, not Auburn? All right. Well, JM?
I'm pretty good with Auburn being 25. They haven't really put the time and effort in, it looks like, from what Taco's saying, but they'll still be able to break the top 25 and pull out some wins. So wait to see if they actually get in gear to see if they can climb.
All right, well, 25, still something to be proud of. There are a lot of teams that haven't made their way even to that position, but we can jump right up to 24. Iowa State, what do we got to say about them?
Iowa State is whipping it back into shape. I know deploying was coaching them up a bit, but they don't got totem. But I hear they might have something in the works.
I have heard. Don't quote me on this. I've heard that there's a god coming to Iowa State.
Yeah.
And if that said player comes and plays, and Iowa State's looking really good, you might see the return of totem. It's a possibility.
They're gonna need a capital G god. All right, because right now things are not. Things are rough in Iowa. So good luck.
Akron has IMAT. They're about to have UMAT.
There's a UMAT too.
There will be now.
All right, what about 23? We got CGC UIC, a name that you just so many letters in there.
Rolls off the tongue.
Are they good?
They popped out of nowhere, really. They were a team last year that we didn't see at all. Never even breached the rankings. So I don't think we ever talked about them. They did all right in summer, and for CR6, I think, and then they played in the qualifier for Premier. I think they got beat out by Texas Tech, but
in the losers finals.
Yeah,
they won their opening match. I don't remember against who in CEA week 1 as well this past week.
Well, not a lot to say about those guys, clearly, but I think we have a lot to say about number 22 on this list, and that is the NCSU B team. I don't know about this. You guys can correct me. Is this the first time ever we've seen a B team on the power rankings in the top 25?
Yeah, they are 100% the first B team to actually crack the rankings.
But they're also really good.
They are a very solid B team. They are.
Let me tell you something.
A teams.
Yeah, let me tell you something.
So
they, keeping, an anonymity and anonymous, keeping things anonymous is what we'll say.
Anonymity, yeah.
Anonymity. Our B team, scrimmed a, fairly established team, and it was 2 of their players' first ever experiencing comp, their first scrim ever, and they were horrified. And I sat in on that, and they did really well. So they still have a lot to learn, but it's interesting. Our B team last semester was definitely better than this one, at least right now, and that one didn't crack the rankings. So it seems like maybe either they're starting to get the recognition they deserve, or maybe maybe things have gotten a little bit weaker when we're in the mid-20s.
Snail's team
Jeez.
got beat so bad he couldn't come on tonight.
I love
Okay, well that's
I love-
Yeah, so just so everyone in chat is aware, we are live. We're interacting with chat, and you got to take a look at CDAPS. He just dropped a banger in there. Imagine
That's
losing
not
to
fair.
a B
They
team
had
at
an
Snail.
off day. I tried to keep it, could have been anybody. That's not true. It wasn't Snail, or it might have been, could have been, but I'm not going to confirm or deny.
No, I'll confirm.
It was okay. Yeah.
We're throwing him under the bus and then we're hitting him with it too.
Oh no.
Well-
Back up and forward.
Well, Jagged, obviously NCSU, that's near to Taco's heart, but UNT, that is of course your team after all. What do you got to
It
say
is.
about your own boys cracking the rankings at 21?
Well, so it's really good for them. This is the first time that they've hit they've cracked into the power rankings, coming off of a pretty strong summer season. They finished second overall in the regular season in the summer season of CR6. They got a real good pickup, Son of Finn, over the summer. Now he's come into the fall joining us. I'm back on the field as a sub. I played the last match versus OK State B. Overall, the team is starting to gel really well. Obviously, there's a lot of work to be done with them, but they have a lot of potential, and I'm excited to see what they do.
Good. And anyone else gotten a chance to see UNT in action?
I
In
saw
the-
a little bit in the
yet.
summer.
Yeah, I
I've
guess in the summer
personally
games, for
interacted
sure.
with Son of Finn a lot. Son of Finn and I have played here and there, had a good time. He's a great T3 player, so
Yeah, fantastic guy.
he's bringing a lot of experience to that team and helping that team out a ton.
Awesome. Let's jump to number 20 then. We got Louisiana ULL. Now, of course, they don't have Flanson anymore, but they do have apparently enough gunners to get them at number 20. What about these guys?
Yeah, they still got
Yeah,
Fantastic and
Enough
Turtle Hawk.
longer. Go ahead, Mick. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say they still got Fantastic and Turtle Hawk that could be recognized as shooters. Fantastic more than Turtle, but can they bring it together? Because it's always been them two for historically 1-2 years now. Can they bring the other three players to help out with some weight?
Clair not on Friday though.
Sheesh.
that's foul.
Nah,
Man,
Oh, what was the score line?
Jake is
Drop
going for the roads.
7-4.
7-4. Yeah,
But,
close
I mean,
enough.
Last time I checked, I'm
I
pretty
gave
sure I
Snare-
watched Jake go 0-7 in the first half of that game.
No, it was actually the other map. But
Oh, was it the other? It was
Yeah,
the other game.
this one I
don't know.
shot
It was
back.
one of them. I just
this one I was
figured I'd let
warmed
you
up.
know. Just remind you.
Yeah, I just saw the
Summer.
clip of Vaz was walking down Whitehall and nobody
No
knowing
one
how to
did
use their
anything.
mouse.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I do want to pour one out. Losing Flanson to T3 Valorant, he was so young, he had so much potential. But it is what it is. Sometimes it's the
Young-
brightest lights that burn out the quickest. So rest in
young
peace, young
prodigy.
Flanson. Yeah.
Brutal. Well, number 19, we got Oklahoma. I remember the first time they cracked the rankings in the spring, I think it was. But here they are now at number 19. That's a fairly good position. What about these guys? How'd they get this far?
They are in Premier now. They are also participating in CA. I believe it's the first time in CEA that they're going in. And Turks and them, I think it's 4 returning players and 1 new player. So they have a core group from last year that got them into that position to get into a relegation spot. And so they should be able to be bringing it together now that they've had some time together.
I don't know their scoreline from the game against Texas Tech, but they had a tough loss against
It was
Ohio State.
7-3, I think. Buck's in
Okay.
the chat, so maybe Buck can tell us if he remembers.
Well, Oklahoma, they've had 2 tough losses recently. Coastline against Ohio State, 7-2, and 7-4 against Texas Tech. So definitely not in the best position. But Ohio State, they have earned their spot in some sense. But I don't think we are going to see them on the rankings tonight. The next one, though, number 18, that's Wisconsin. They've had some mixed results too.
They were progressing. They were a high-end open team from what I remember in the spring. I
Yeah.
didn't really follow them in the summer. But they are in CEA Open as well. That I do know.
But so Oklahoma, from my understanding, and Louisiana, both of those teams and Iowa State are all ranked below Wisconsin, and they're all in CR6 Premier. So what are you telling me that Wisconsin deserves a spot in Premier?
Yeah, Wisconsin, if they can equivalate the same performance that they had in the spring, they might be able to.
Yeah.
Because right now, Oklahoma, ULL, and Iowa State are right now what's considered the bottom tier of the CR6 invite teams.
I'm
So
excited with the new format to see what
Yeah,
happens.
if Wisconsin can really show out this open season and they play for a relegation spot, they might be able to take one of their 3 spots.
I think
Yeah.
season 2 will be the best Premier season.
they got a high ceiling, and not that many expectations yet. So we'll see how that carries with them.
Well, I'm not personally down in the trenches with you guys playing. How is I'm just curious about this. How has the best of one format kind of changed things? Is it shifting things around in your opinion? Is it changing the way you guys are playing your games, or is it still the same?
I think it's
Uh,
interesting because you have 2 games to play. Now you have 2 different teams to focus on, and you only go to one map versus like before you could like, okay, we'll go to a map that we like, maybe a map they're like, more credential on or something like that. But now it like takes more planning, I guess, to like figure out where you want to go ban wise. But it also does help out a little bit. Like say you have a weaker map in the pool, you're able to just completely negotiate or negate that and get rid of it. So
I will say, and this, coming from a team that is pretty notorious for practicing a lot, it's somewhat frustrating to see like there's teams that have really weak map pools and they're just able to, ban out 3 maps immediately, and that's not even counting if another team like bans a map that they don't like, and so they have the opportunity to get rid of so many maps. So it allows teams to have a pretty shallow map pool and still do decently well. That being said, there's still a lot to be said about just the consistency behind best of ones. Teams that might just have had a really hot map, or maybe they just started on defense first or something like that. So, there's a lot more kind of hanging in the balance, but at the end of the day, you're playing so many games that the foam will rise to the top regardless.
yeah, I agree. And I find sometimes too is like you have to play to win like every round, where you can say, "Oh, I don't like this site. We can just get rid of it. We have another map and stuff like that if it's not your best." And the shallow map pool, like we're gonna see a lot of club and cafe this year. And Oregon, I think those are gonna be the 3 most played maps this semester.
You're seeing a lot of Villa too, which has been surprising to me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Bank is in the map pool. We're not gonna.
never gonna
If
play
you,
it.
if you weren't
Yeah,
if
that's the
you
one
didn't
format
tell
you're
me
not
that
gonna
Bank was
see
in
it.
that, if you didn't tell me Bank was in the map pool, I wouldn't know because we're never gonna
Yeah.
play it.
Well, let's jump over to 16
ISU
and 17.
Sorry. Yes.
We'll jump over to 16 and 17. We can loop back to you, Jame, in a moment. I'm looping them here together because NAU and WMU, both of them have been unable to make it in a CR6 Premier. Either they're an open or they're just focused on CEA invite. Now, they're here at 16 and 17 spot. What do you got to say about these two teams?
So WMU, I know I don't think they play CR6.
No,
I
they
could be
don't.
wrong on that, but I
No,
know
they're
they
just CEA.
CA
So I've
invite.
only seen them in CEA. NAU is an interesting one. So I'm friends with NAU players. Boom and I have played a lot together. Really good friends. I played with Narrow and ranked and stuff like that. Been talking to those guys forever. NAU, they went through a heart attack of their roster. They basically went, all right, we're gonna have a team next year. We'll be in CR6 invite because they were in CR6 Premier. They're one of the teams that dropped out last second because they didn't think they were gonna have a full roster. So they thought, okay, now we're not gonna have a roster at all. Our players are gonna go play Valorant or something like that at NAU. Then one of them came back, another one came back, and then they slowly pieced their roster back together. So I think it's the same original 5 that they had last year. There might be a change or two in that. But that's what NAU looks like right now. So hopefully we'll see them back as another like top West team, especially as us being West team's GCU. Hopefully it'll be nice to have more competition in the West Coast.
Yeah, they were really strong in the spring for the collegiate championship, weren't they?
Yeah, we played them
Yeah.
in the semifinals. So or in the finals of the regionals. So
Yeah, one of the only other few strong teams that was in that Western bracket.
They are in CA
what
invite
percentage?
too, from what I'm looking at.
yes, they are in CA invite. They are in
NAU is CEA invite and
with
CR6 open.
CSU, I think.
Yeah, they play Akron the 23rd, so next week.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll see where they stand.
See how that goes.
We can jump to UTSA, another team with somewhat near and dear to our hearts.
Everyone
Miggs, want
can
to take
talk
this one
for
away?
Yeah.
Can
So
talk
what?
about it.
Le-
Legally banned.
legally allowed to
Yo,
talk.
yo, I'm just here so I won't get fined. Nah, so what I've been talking with Zai, he wasn't sure that they'd have a roster. They thought they would have maybe Ton and like one other person, so they weren't sure if they'd piece it together. But slowly, they like talked to Rose to play T3 and still play some collegiate from time to time when he's free. Ton's still trying to do T3 and collegiate. And then Kate, she's out of the country right now, but when she comes back from her little trip, she said that she's playing. So he like kind of like managed to piece a roster together with tryouts and with Ton. So they're right now from what I heard, they just show up and play and see what we can do. So we'll see. So they might not be up there for long, or they might just get shit together and start playing better.
And we just played
Jose's a
against
girl.
them, so they took us to 3 maps. So they did better than we were expecting. We played very sloppy. That was their first game back after so long. But yeah, they played. You know what? They played a lot better than we were expecting. So
All right, well, 14 then. We can jump up to the top 15. We've got Tulsa, first one on the draw. Of course, the home of the one and only Spaz. What do we got on these boys at Tulsa?
Kill Spaz.
Yeah, basically that's how it goes. Unfortunately, Tulsa lost probably their far and away second best player in meat grid, meat stick, some sort of meat, some sort of meat product. But as long as you still got old Spazowski, the demon himself, it's really it's a bit of a crapshoot. Rest in peace, Klimpse. I don't know where he went. But it just depends on if Spaz decides to go huge or just to troll, really. But he plays the same way either way. It just depends on how the other team deals with it. So Tulsa can be one of those teams that can beat anybody, but it's also a team that can lose to anybody. So definitely right in the middle of the pack seems about right.
Klimpse's shoes are running away, guys, just so you know.
they're not. I'm back.
Just can't see him. He's just invisible.
He don't
You know
exist.
what? Honestly, this is just better. Just don't even.
Hey,
Oh.
we already know the camera reflects off his forehead.
Oh,
here we
geez.
go.
All right,
Here
we gotta move on. We gotta move on. All right, we've got Illinois State. We've got ISU. Now, this one always breeds a lot of controversy because, of course, you've got the Dirt Report squad with Snail at the helm, or at least in the mix, and you've got ISU, Snail's baby, who every time they seem to lose a game, Snail says it was an off day. Now, can every day be an off day? That's the question I have for you
Can you
guys.
have an ego as big as Snail? Yes.
Hey, it's as
Every
big as
day
his
is
shell.
Even against
Yep.
Grand Valley State.
Yo, my man wanted to be ranked somewhere inside 5 and not 5, and then he go into 3 maps with Grand Valley State. I don't know about that one, Chief.
And not to bash on Grand Valley State, but I mean Grand Valley State's not even considered on the top 25 list. So if
Not
that
even
puts it into
close.
perspective, them going to 3 maps with a team that's supposedly in the top 15 is even like tough to swallow. That they're
Look, guys, I don't know if this is me being presumptuous, but they have some pretty solid pieces. So at the end of the day, I think if you want to look at why they're just not really performing up to what I think we can all agree are capable of, you got to look towards that communication, that IGL kind of stuff. I feel like that's where things really start to fall apart for ISU. It seems like maybe just they're not having that leadership that they need. And that's something it's really tough to work on. So I hope they get that figured out.
I know they are switching IGLs. I know Cow's doing a lot more attacking IGLing, and then Snail's doing more defending.
Oh, I thought it was all Snail. I was just trying to make fun of Snail. So
Yeah, clearly that was just a direct
Yeah.
Snail attack. I don't know if JM picked up on that. That was just a direct Snail attack. But yes, they are splitting up their roles a little bit from our understanding, and there is a bit of drama just in that switch up and how that balance is going. But it'll
All
be
I know is
interesting to see.
I'm a Cow stan, so Snail, just give it up, bro. Just give it up.
Well,
I
yeah,
love
just
Cow.
let
Cow's chill.
Cow do it. Cow's great.
after seeing Cal play, I feel like it's gonna if he does any IGLing, it's probably gonna be like the IMAT style of IGLing, where it's like he does a little bit and then he dies really early in the round, then he does a lot more when he can actually look at all the cams and stuff like that. Because Cal is more than willing to shove his face in any hole that he can find, and you can feel free to take that out of context if you want.
Yeah.
But
He's peeking everything.
It'll be
Like
interesting to see
Snail's
how
fault.
that goes. Wow.
All right.
That's not
What
even here,
about
man.
what about Mizzou? I mean, we did do Snail a bit dirty there, so we'll move on to number 12 before it gets out of control. What about Mizzou here? They're a team that kind of popped on the scene with a lot of drama. It was just a team that wanted to tear up collegiate and who, for the most part, had some success in doing that. Why aren't they higher? Why aren't they lower? Why are they right in the middle of the pack?
So for Mizzou, they came in real hard last season in the spring of Face It. That was the only league that they were in. They ran it up in the open bracket. And I believe they won the entire
Yes.
rec league.
Yeah, they
Against
right?
all
won the B bracket.
Yeah. So I would say the reason they're not higher right now is because they've yet to really prove themselves against the actual A teams and against all the top dogs. I think they have some good potential on them, but I want to wait and see before we start ranking them higher.
Do
They
they still have?
They're
They still have
playing
Iski?
Alabama
It-
Huntsville this week, which is gonna be big.
That'll be a good game.
Do they still have
Alabama.
Iski?
Iski, I'm not sure. I haven't seen him tweet much. either,
Iski,
'cause
I
the
don't
B
even
team
know
pack
what their
smoker
roster
himself.
looks like, but they seem still, still.
I
in
will
there.
say this: according to
Yes.
my B team, they scrimmed them recently, and it does not seem like they are at their former strength. From what I understand, maybe they might have had an off day. Obviously, it's still early in the season, so it's hard to tell.
I was
But
gonna say, they should have just played Rutgers, which is not really an opponent. It's kind of just a
That's
a team in CA invite, but they're playing UAH on the 23rd in CA invite. That might be that's a best of 3 match.
Yeah,
So we,
that'll be
so,
a
we,
real.
so we might get a real test out of them if they do have Iski. I haven't seen him tweet since the collegiate powers of B that dominated Twitter on his account.
Well, we'll see how they shape up. I just checked the roster they have registered on CEA, and Iski is not a part of it. CDAPS confirms
unlucky.
Iski is back in T3, so don't think we'll be seeing him, but I'm sure you'll be hearing from him if you are on Twitter at all. But you head over to number 11. We go to MTU. They're a team that used to be a lot higher on this list, who have had their moments a lot higher on this list, but right now they're sitting at number 11. Why is that?
I think just not having that, they're so good, right? They're so good because you have CJ, who's like one of, if not the best gunner in the world. Like the dude can shoot back like crazy. He's nuts. And then Red is also again a really good second option.
It will smoke
really
your
good
back.
operator or player, like not operator, but player. Like they're both really good players. They're like the dynamic duo. Always known for pulling MTU through the mud. It seems like they're continuing to kind of do the same thing this year. Hopefully they'll get a little extra help. I think they've retained their full 5 from last year.
Yeah,
so hopefully
same team.
that will help to pull them through the mud. We've scrimmed them once, so we'll see how it goes.
If you want to, I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction, an MTU prediction right here. All right. And this is going to be a trend. And it's that teams with better support players are the teams that are going to beat MTU more. Because speaking from experience, because we played them in CEA last week, as a first entry, they're just going to be dead more often than not. So if your support players, your flank watch and stuff like that are really good at getting their refrags and they're in the right positions, then that's probably where things are going to start to fall apart for them. But teams that might not have the best support players, or players that are a little less experienced and they're not finding themselves in the right positions to go for those refrags and stuff like that, that's where MTU is just going to run away with it. So hold me to that. That's my prediction right there.
Oh, I agree.
All right. Well, before we get into number 10, I think a good time to talk about the teams who actually we don't see on this list, right? We had some debate about trying to, I know you guys were discussing about who you wanted to put on this list. Couple of names that came up. Brown. Why aren't they here?
They're considering votes. They
were in
got
the
first rounded in
iteration.
the qualifiers for invite and then didn't do the loser bracket. So that kind of hurt their scene. They played Hofstra in CEA. Not a big name, not really much doing for them, but they are in the consideration in the next 5 out, or like teams considering votes. I know it's Virginia Tech, who made through qualifiers invite for CR6. St. Mary's, they beat UTSA in a close 3 maps. And then they have been showing out, so we'll see how they do in CR6 Open. Brown, and then there was 2 more I can't think off the top of my head right now.
I want some justice for Kyle Pog. All right, I know he's not playing right now, but
CLT.
they deserve to be up there. That's all I'm saying.
I hope to see that team again. I like those guys.
I was good. They're not doing CEA, so they'll probably be looked at once they start doing Face It.
Yeah. I played a casual with them the other day, and he said they're just doing Face It this year.
Yeah.
I just realized that Virginia Tech isn't on this list. Is that intentional or is that a mistake?
They're just like St. Mary's and like Brown. They're on the next 5 up, so like receiving votes, but based on their performance, we'll see. Some look at their qualifying bracket as a potential bracket blessing. I know Parcel's not playing as a starter, so we'll see if Parcel comes back. They might be a threat. If without Parcel, 6 might not be able to carry the whole show once they actually start playing invite teams.
That pisses me off, by the way. Let me just go ahead and say, off the record, on the record, I don't care. I talked to him, right? And I talked to his teammate Busty or whatever his name. Great name, by the way, probably best in the collegiate. And I talked to him why Parcell wasn't playing, and he was like, "Oh, he's just he's taking school really seriously. He's a busy guy. He's got a lot going on." I'm like, dude, I can see the face at Open Hub. He's played like 45 matches this month, so the guy's got time. I feel like they could be real good if Parcell would just step on the battlefield, but it seems like he's going after the R6 credits in a different way. It seems like he's going for the 10 man's route. So I'm not going to hate on the man's hustle, but I'm just saying they could be good. I mean, they're still all right.
They could definitely put up a better fight with Parcell, 100%.
Yeah. Who's
My
the
final
Swan
team
in the chat?
Love the Swan.
Isn't another band person like Miggs?
Yo,
like
final team that's not on this list that could have been Oklahoma State. What do you have to say about those guys? They used to be, in the top 10 of this list back in the day, but a lot of changes to that roster. What do we got to say about these guys?
That roster changed entirely.
Yeah, I was gonna say in the summer I think it was like week 1, they started off hot, and then Slash chose to take retirement up. Now he's a admin or person of power for CR6.
Hyena IGL is gone.
We played them today actually for CR6, and I will say that they definitely had the potential to be on this list, but I definitely do think they got a little bit of proving to do, especially considering who they lost. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I definitely think they're kind of in that like first 5 out kind of thing.
Big holes to fill in that roster. So they got to go through a little bit of a rebuilding, rebonding the team kind of together, put the puzzle pieces back together. I think we'll see them in the list soon, but
they're a roster that's based on chemistry. So even if they lost big gunners, if they can bring it back together as team wise, they might be able to make a break.
All right, well, let's crack the top 10. We can pull up these rankings once again and see at number 10 spot, you've got Kettering. Now, I know we have no idea what a Kettering is. We're still trying to answer this question. It's been several years now, it feels like. We still haven't gotten an answer, but maybe we can answer why they're top 10.
Solid invite performance in the spring. I don't know if they did summer. I didn't quite follow them in the summer. I talked to Buck recently, or Bucka. They had, I'm trying to remember who they played now. Can't remember, but I know they play Akron next week. So they should be getting it together. They had a close game with Ohio State, was it?
I think so.
Ohio State was an overtime loss, 8-7.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, so that's a really close game.
And Ohio State, I believe that roster is the same roster they had in the spring. So it's a roster that's floated the top 25 for a while.
All right, well, St. Clair, another team that's near and dear to our hearts. JM, tell me about these wonderful boys and what the heck they've done to put in the work to get number 9. I know you guys used to be good and then you were bad and now you're good again. What's the deal?
So we were decent in the fall of last year, and then we had some roster moves. Unfortunate players graduate and drop out for the semester, and we had that team. Yeah, that explains it for itself. And then I went, nope, not doing that again. And I went out and spent a boatload of money and picked up 4 amazing people. And then I decided to come out of retirement and join the roster to help crack the top 10 and be back.
Looks like you've done it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see you guys climb. One team who also kind of came out of nowhere. Generally a team that we don't get to see on broadcast because they're just blacklisted everywhere. It's Ohio State at the number 8 position. What's the deal?
I forgot all about that. That's amazing. I forgot all about that.
They're about to run it back.
Hey, they, like I said with when I was addressing Kettering, they had a same. I believe it's almost the whole same roster, if not the whole roster. 8-7 win over Kettering. I don't think they're in CA Open. So if they make a run, same thing with Mizzou. If they make, or not Mizzou, NAU. If they make a run, or whoever it was, fuck, I can't even remember. They make a run, they'll start moving up, moving down, however it is, however they start performing results. But they have what is established 5 returners. You should have enough to perform, enough chemistry that you can't be fucking going down.
Yeah.
Well, we've got now we're entering the high class teams. We're going 7 and up. Here we have teams who have all been at one point or another either in contention for the best team in collegiate or in fact the best team in collegiate. Of course, all eyes are on number 6 of Akron, who've dropped to probably the lowest position we've ever put them. But number 7 first is Texas Tech.
Texas Tech looks interesting this year. They're
Yeah,
back.
they do.
I don't think anyone expected it. I think we kind of expected it. Buck was playing on a turtle mouse in their last game against Oklahoma, and quite literally a turtle mouse. You can go look on Twitter.
Yeah.
It is incredible. I did not believe it. And they fought through the CR6 bracket. They were an invite last year, and they dropped down because they had issues with their team and stuff like that. But they came back, built back together. Same roster pretty much. They just replaced their 5th, which again was their issue last year. So hopefully Centrix is looking like a promising player for them. And hopefully it's, I like Texas Tech. I like the Texas Tech guys. They all got funny names. Their names are amazing.
Yeah, they have probably the best team names.
Yo,
As a
speed
caster,
rate
I
guaranteed.
despise them because they keep changing their names, and I have to yell "Fatal
Hey.
Fister" on broadcast or "Gassy Gama," and I don't want to do that.
Hey, it's no beat stick. It's no beat stick on the main channel.
It's still a problem. I'm literally screaming meat stick on the main channel. That is peak.
Speed Demon is a menace to society. Speed Demon is
man.
taking over collegiate this season.
All right. Well, the big story here is Akron falling to the number 6 position. We know they've had some changes on their roster. They've got Jobu, they've got Mitch sliding into this lineup. What has happened over the last week to warrant such a drop in their ranking?
I can actually tell you. I can actually tell you exactly why they've fallen, and it's pretty specific. And I hope I'm not saying too much. I hope the Akron guys don't get mad at me. But the day that Jaeger's 416C got nerfed, JetCon went from one of the best players in collegiate to just. The guy is just a spectator at this point, and it's really sad to see. He was, he was one of the best, and just the day, he tries, he puts the flash hider on, he puts the muzzle brake on. It's just not working, man. He's putting a Band-Aid over a bullet hole, and it's really, hurting their team. So hopefully they can get that figured out, but until then, they're just I see them continuing to fall until maybe the Jaeger nerf gets taken back or something like that. But I don't know.
I will say historically this is their lowest ranking ever. I think in like 2-3 years.
I think this is one of the most they've lost in the last couple of years too.
They
Other
lost
than the
like
taco
this,
rant, what do we got?
They lost like this much this week as they did all of last year.
Yeah.
Like it's incredible.
So
Like
they lost
if
to
you
UAH.
look on the CR6 rankings right now, they are currently the bottom team. Like that is not accurate. So there is a lot going on with them. I watched their game against Converse, and it just looked ugly. It just did not look.
It was 3-3, and then just Converse took over. There was no answer to Converse.
And I know Akron's playing all in their land center. I think.
Yeah.
Like, Curate in and then they're in TeamSpeak and stuff. So they've got all the tools to do it. They're all next to each other. Like how cool is that? How many teams actually get to play all next to each other? Shut up, Jake. But like, it's hopefully they can start gelling, and hopefully they're gonna be better.
Mitch and was it Jobu?
Mm-hmm.
They got shoes to replace because you're replacing Arv and Surma. Surma was on that roster 2-3 years. Arv was there for over a year, I think, or for a year.
Trying to fill Surma's
So
shoes is a very big step.
Those were big impact players in my opinion. They weren't flashy with numbers and kills, but their performance, their dirty work always.
I think Surma's
noticeable.
experience hurts that team so much. I think Surma was really good at keeping that team just on a chill vibe. And now without him, you can kind of see the tension in that roster pulling at each other's teeth when they're playing. So hopefully they're able to figure it out. I want to see them do well. I like a lot of their people on that roster. So, I want to see them do well. I want to see them succeed. They're a fun team to compete against. So
they are one of the best teams to compete against. They're always fun games, no matter what. If you know you're gonna get slammed, you always try your hardest to beat them.
Well, the undisputed champions of last season, and hopefully, maybe they'll make a little bit of a rise back to the top in the next coming weeks. But at the number 5 spot, we're now cracking the top 5. We've got the University of Alabama Huntsville. We've got UAH. How have these guys made such a meteoric rise? And I mean, they beat Akron after all.
Yo, they took open. I want to say it was last spring.
Yeah.
They ran up the King George tournament that King George put up for like T3, T2
Slay
teams to
Station
compete,
as
and
well.
they were in there. They were in like the final 8. I
Jagged,
remember.
didn't you cast that?
I did. I was part of both Slay Station broadcasts this summer, and they were there both times. I believe if memory serves right, the one in June they made it to the semifinals, and then I think in the
I'm
one
here.
in July they went out in the quarterfinals.
So pretty
Well,
good
made it-
performances there. Yeah.
So
They
yeah,
were
and
playing
they're
very
not
well.
playing like Joe Schmoes. So like those are teams with some establishment, some aspiration to what they're chasing.
Apparently they won it once, lost. Oh, never mind. Angle was wrong. He's feeding us false information.
They beat Akron too, so that's no easy feat. So
And well, they
they
also beat ISU 7-1, if that means anything to you.
yeah.
Doesn't.
Yo, hashtag bring totem back.
Oof.
All right, at
Um,
number 4,
Oh, wrong
at
ISU,
number
okay.
4, we'll jump to Converse. This is probably the biggest story, the biggest team entering into collegiate recently. This is a 5-stack of just hand-pick absolute gunners, and they're at the top 4 position. But I'd argue, or I know some people at least would argue, that they could be higher.
Yeah, they got potential there on paper. They got real potential. They could be 1, 2, 3, or 4.
I do
But
know they did take an L to Purdue though. In
They
the
did.
NJAC, whatever league it is called.
And
NECC.
Yeah, the
NECC, whatever
NECC.
it is. So I know they did take an L there. So we play them this week on the CR6 channel. So if
It'll be a
they
good
want to
game.
fight for that 3rd place spot, let's go. Let's go. We're ready. So
Their win over
But
Akron was big. Their win over Texas Tech was big. Both of those 7-3, and both of those on Villa. They're looking good.
they love Villa. I've only seen them play Villa, so I'd really be interested to see what they
So
look
you
like.
heard it
on
here
the map.
first, folks. Don't take them to Villa.
Sounds
Hey,
like
Purdue took them to
Villa
Villa.
coming out.
Purdue
gonna
did
be
take it to
the-
Villa and shut them up.
That was their first game though, so maybe they lost Villa and like, you know what, we're just we're starting this map over, we're building it from the ground up, and then they just turned it into something horrible.
I don't know what the
So, you know,
scoreline was. What was the
I get-
scoreline?
it was 7-5.
7-5.
Purdue started on attack and had a bad like 2-4 attacking split on Villa, but then they apparently brought it back pretty good on defense. So
not everyone is Purdue, so you probably still don't want to take them to Villa.
that's true. That's true.
You're gonna be the
But
UDEM of Cafe.
They did run up the
trying to-
table though in those in the premier qualifiers. I don't think they're in CEA, but they do
They're not.
play. They play Tech soon, I believe.
Yeah.
Converse?
And
I'm assuming
yeah,
they're
an
gonna
invite.
face
I
it,
think.
right?
Well, Converse played Tech in the quals, and they beat him 7-3, and then they play Tech the 2nd week of October, so not for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know, I thought it was
They
for-
have like a lighter season here on out than they had like already. They play GCU, they play Kettering, Oklahoma, Texas Tech, Ohio State, and UWW, who may end up forfeiting that game anyway. So you know, definitely some chances for them to get some losses there, but they are looking good and they could be improving still. So, good to jump to number 3 here. Klimpse, of course, the good old boys at GCU. These guys have been good for a while. Klimpse, how are you still doing it? How are you still putting it together?
You know, we still feel comfortable. We've been chomping at that bit for that number 2 spot from Purdue, which we had for a while. Purdue was actually number 4 in the last year's rankings anyway. And now they're back above us, even though we've never played Purdue ever in a competitive setting. We've never played Purdue, which pisses me off so much. And we don't play them in CR6 this year, at least not now. Maybe in playoffs or something that might happen. They're not in CEA invite or Premier or whatever right now. So, and face it, maybe unless we get randomized, who knows? So it's gonna be a long time till we play against Purdue. But you know, they're a really good team. I respect them. But I think we're looking good. I still feel strong. It's their same 5 roster. I have more experience on support at least. I feel like I've been doing a better job doing my job. Cheeks is still crazy at the game. That dude just shoots everybody. Men still doing his thing, IGLing. Smurf crouching around everywhere on the map, and then Cash does his thing and kills everybody. So I'm excited. I think our maps are really good. I think Theme Park going away, we really didn't like that map. Consulate as well.
Map.
We weren't the strongest on there either. So those 2 maps going away and coming into the map pool, I'm excited to see what these new maps could bring to us in doing actual stuff. And also, by the way, for those that remember who Carlito is, he's back. So he's currently on a sub role, but Carlito's back. Blairo's still hanging around. But
Doing Blairo things.
Carlito's been subbing for us a bit lately, and that dude literally doesn't know the maps and is still dropping 10 plus kills on teams. So if that explains anything, it'll be fun.
You guys have
Carlito's
a
a
tough
blast in
week
the
though.
past.
You guys are GCU. You guys are playing Akron and Converse in the same week, which is pretty spicy right there.
It'll be a good week. We're excited. We're excited for competition this week. So
I feel like you guys were the first team to show us that Akron was beatable. Like back in the spring, I think it was a CR6 game. You beat Akron, and like that was the first time they'd been beaten in like a really long time. And
that
like
was
that was where the vulnerability was there.
A very memorable game.
They've been riding that ever since, man. They just been on
I
those.
mean, you have that. You were the ones who
you know what?
threw Akron into disarray.
It was like 10 or like 14 rounds in a row.
It's a cool feeling, and now everyone knows again. Like still, everyone knows they're beatable, and especially this year with them struggling a little bit. I hope to see them again. I hope to see them rise up. But right now, I'm hoping that it'll be interesting. We're hoping that we'll dethrone NCSU next. We play them soon. I think another like 2 weeks here we play Taco and CEA here, and that'll be a fun game, and maybe we'll show NCSU they're a little beatable too. So.
All right. Well, we've got at the number 2 spot, before we jump to the number 1 spot on this list, we've got Purdue nestled in that second place here. And I suppose it's deserved because NC State beat them not too long ago. But what do we got? What do we got here on Purdue?
Give it to us, Taco. Let me hear it.
There's a little offseason scare that maybe Mila wasn't going to be back for them, but it seems as though that's been rectified, and he is back doing his classic Mila type things, which is just be horrifying. We played him last week or on Friday, and and Mila had like 1 kill at halftime, and then he finished the game with I think 13. So he still has the ability just to turn it on when he wants to. At the end of the day, it seems like you're going to be seeing teams like Purdue, teams like ourselves, teams like UAH that have played, teams like GCU that have played together for over a year now, start to trend their way back up towards the top, because it just seems like that familiarity, playing with the same group for a while, things start to gel and mesh really well. And Purdue is just a really solid team. Providence is not only an IGL but one of the best shooters, I think, on that team. Goose Smitty is still horrifying. He's playing Finca now, which is a nightmare fuel.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Oh, Goose.
So it's going to be to be scary. Providence is getting better every time. So I think that team is definitely deserving of that spot, if not not even higher.
Well, I think you put it perfectly, Taco. And with that, we can jump to number 1. Now, while we talk about number 1, if you have any questions in chat, don't forget to drop those in there. We can get to them after we go through this breakdown about NC State. But Taco, I want to hear from you, but I want to make sure we hear from everybody else about why NC State is here at the number 1 spot. This, some could say it's been a long time coming, but some could say they came out of nowhere as of late. Whatever it is, why have they deserved this position as right now the best team in collegiate?
They put in the work. They scrim the most. That's just what it is. You can always tell.
Yeah, what everyone says, they practice more.
Y'all are so proud of how little you scrim. It's absurd.
That's what we want. We want more.
Anyone scrimming tomorrow at 8? I need a scrim for 3 maps, 6-6.
It's bad when NCSU is begging in all the.
Yeah, I put that picture of the guy talking to a wall.
Please. Yes,
but no, like
puts in. Sorry, thanks. They put in the work, and they also picked up Rai came from Emergence as a T3 player. Still, I think he still has participated at least on some CL qual teams and stuff like that. Rai's a great player. I played with him a little bit here and there, so I've seen him play. And the NCC roster simply just got better, and they were already good last year. They were already good, so now they're even better. So there's not much to say.
I will say this.
That is true, CDAPS. That is so true.
In the spring, we were a pretty solid team. Obviously we did pretty well getting second in CEA, I think fourth in Face It, and then I think like eighth in CR6. We really fumbled the bag there. But we just weren't really, it didn't feel like we were complete. It didn't feel like we were playing to our full potential. And then, God above sent us a gift, and this little cherub of a boy, this little rat boy crawling in the wall looking for cheese, Rai. He's pretty much everything we needed. We struggled a lot with, mid-round adaptation, and him, come from T3 being an IGL, he's really helped us a lot with that. I will say, being in first, I hate it. Cannot stand it, because that means there's really nowhere to go right now except for down. So
The
hopefully
target's
we
on
can,
your back.
yeah, hopefully we continue to play how we have been. But yeah, I think a lot of that can be attributed to we knew Rai was coming to state, because unlike some schools, we don't really have the opportunity to recruit and all that kind of stuff. So we just kind of play the hand we're dealt, and luckily we've been getting ace high pretty much every hand. So hopefully that luck continues, and we got Rai pretty early and been able to get some practice in our belt despite the lack of scrims we've been able to get from collegiate teams. We've been having to do a lot of SFCL Discord perusing, which is a real
Right.
shame, but it is what it
Not
is.
It's Wild
SFCL.
West out there.
Not SFCL.
Proceed with caution out there.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
the land
got-
experience for you guys kind of helps. You
oh
guys-
yeah, that was
I would say no freebie teams out there, but
Yeah, are we getting
some teams
collegiate
better than
lands
some
back
collegiate teams out there
this
too.
year?
Look, all I know is we got clowned for losing to Revenge Nation, and then they went and went huge in CL qual. So that was pretty satisfying to see them do well, because those guys were the only team at that LAN that was not like, after they went around, would not scream. Like, I'm like, bro, act like you've been there before. Jeez Louise, it's absurd. But yeah, that was really fun. We still got Anarchy, former what should be Rookie of the Year. If you guys actually did that for Dirt Report, he would have won that by a landslide.
Yo, wait, hold on.
Buck
So
wasn't
are
even close.
No. So are we hearing that Rai might make a run for Rookie of the Year?
He's going to follow in Grant's footsteps. I have no doubt. It might not, we'll have to see if it shows up on the scoreboard, but let me tell you something. It'll definitely show up in how we play and how we adapt mid-round and stuff like that. Rai is he's really willing to be vocal. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that helps us. We still got Predator, and we still got Andrew Ryan. And the guys are just, if anything, we're just getting better.
If I'm correct, did you guys' team height average shrink a bit because of the
yes, so we lost NC Jack, who is at a very solid 6'2", and then Rai, I mean, I don't know, I think he sits on pillows to drive, so we definitely lost a bit in the height department. But yeah, so other than that, I mean, he's tall enough to sit at a desk, tall enough to see his monitor, tall enough to use his mouse, tall enough to use keyboard, and that's really all that matters.
Okay, but rumor has it you yourself went absolutely insane the last game, or at least against Purdue.
Well, it's stats aren't
18?
important. Jay-Z, stats are not important. At the end of the day, we're able to walk out of there with a win, and that's really all that matters. I have scoreboard unbound, so I had no idea.
There it is. All right, good.
Yeah, I'm just there doing what I can, round in, round out. Yeah.
Oh man. All right. So we do have a question here coming in from Doggy B. I don't know who this man is, but I do know he has a question here. What are your standout players of the week for outside top 25? Now, I don't know a ton of players outside top 25, but what do you guys got anyone in mind?
Outside the 25?
Outside the 25?
May have meant teams.
Maybe the teams. He could have meant that.
I don't know. Does he
Yeah,
want to clarify?
yeah, like I say, standout player is kind of hard because if you're just gonna base off of kills, it's really just whoever shows up their scoreboard.
Most of the stand-up players standout players usually have their teams in the top 25.
Yeah,
just because of how good they are. They're very, very good teams. So
yeah, because
top
20
topic. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Can we tweet
the
out
the five
top
outside of the
25
top
rankings
25 we
for
got
Mr. Grant
is
Triple?
the top 5 outside of top 25 is Bama, Brown, St. Mary's, Tennessee, Knoxville, Virginia Tech at the moment. But there's also, we gotta wait and see when people start playing notable teams, because if you're playing Joe Schmo University out in Wyoming, can't really credit you for a big win when they're also a team that's not playing any big names either.
And I
Yeah,
want to say
hope-
I watched a lot of the games. I pulled up right before our game on Friday. I pulled up 4 different streams and had them all on my computer. And I was watching different teams that I haven't even really heard of and stuff. So I'm like, I think, and I know some of the other guys are too, trying to figure out more about the other teams that are around.
Yeah,
And
Stream
if
your
you
that-
know
games,
star
guys.
players, you'll get recognition, but it's week 1.
Stream
So if you're not
games.
on that top 25, just make it a fire. Go.
Yeah,
go
that-
get
that's-
you got
yeah, I was
to
gonna-
keep those
you
streams
got
going.
you got to prove something. Prove something. You know.
Because this
Stream.
reminds me of the guy
show us
last
what
stream
you
that dropped
are.
27, and he was on a team that was like 0-6
Yeah.
in CEA. Like, come on, man.
What was that the match where he disconnected at the end? Is that
Yes,
the one you're thinking?
yes.
Somebody disconnected in like the 1v3? Yeah, okay.
Oh my gosh.
So
that's
like if you pop off like that, you can't really say you're a notable player because you dropped 26 kills, but you're also playing another team that's 0-6 or 1-5.
All right, we got the rankings back up here, so in case you want to take one final look for those of you just joining us, we kind of ran through everybody step by step and broke these guys down, including some of the teams who are on the cusp and based on their performances in the next few weeks may be able to jump on in. But I guess the final talking point of the night, something that we've brought up a couple of times before we shut things on down here. Some people have mentioned, or at least asked the question, is collegiate turning into, or are we turning the corner into teams that practice more actually win more instead of just gunners winning more?
It's
It's
100%.
It's a-
changing. It's starting
I-
to. It's
I would
it's getting
say
there.
it's going towards that, but it's still a bit of a combination of both because I mean, even if you do put in 8 hours of practice a day, if you still don't have those big gunners, you don't have the right players on your roster, you're still not going to make it far. You're going to make it further, but you're not going to make it to the top just yet.
I will say this: it seemed like last season was kind of a trend where well-known ranked player or T3 player would go and just like join his college team, just kind of under the assumption that like collegiate was free and that he could just go in and dominate without really having to put any of that sort of work in. So it seems like the barrier to entry, at least in terms of getting to a spot where you're actually getting at some of that very enticing prize pool is getting a little bit higher. So it definitely seems like at the end of the day, gun skill is going to take you most of the way there if you don't have the strategy. But I mean, at the end of the day, it is becoming more and more I would say similar to what you would see like in T3, where teams that have stayed together for a while, like teams like Revenge Nation that might not been the most well-known fragging team and all that kind of stuff, we're still making waves because they had played together for so long and done that kind of work.
We had another question in there about specific players, this time in the top 10 or in the top 25. Do we have like a couple and maybe 5 players we want to rattle off as the people you're keeping an eye on as the top players of the year potentially?
Klimpse.
Okay,
You want
obviously
me to go
that
for this?
that's just straight cap. So
Let's
let's move on.
go. Let's go.
I'll tell
we
you
gotta
what, even-
go. We gotta
I'm
go
the
with
best support
You
CJ,
got a
player,
stroke in
okay?
the forehead.
CJ Ton,
CJ, I'm
Cheeks.
at Ton, Cheeks, and
Spaz.
Spaz. Those would be my top 5 that are playing right now, I think, that I would keep an eye out on.
I'll tell you what, even though
Oh,
UNC's
Anarchy.
at
I'll
20,
sleep on Baz.
even though
Yeah,
even
you're
though
forgetting
even though
one.
UNC's at
Anarchy
21,
has to be
We
up there.
already forgot Taco.
keep Son of Finn's name in your mouth because even though UNT's at 21, you teamed with Rai. They're both very good players. I think you got to keep an eye out for him.
Yeah, Finn's a very good player, so that's definitely someone that I think breaches that top 15 at least.
Y'all sleeping on my prep phase player.
Shit.
I think the best player at St. Clair is the spectator. So
Oh, 100%. Spectators go ham.
Well, anyone here have any last talking points you want to get in, or shall we say it a good show and close up?
See you Friday,
I
Mr. Taco.
was gonna say we're probably gonna try to keep it regularly on Sundays, just because my work schedule's absurd, and then everyone else's game schedules are out of the place. Probably gonna make some Google Sheets or like little questionnaire for some rookies of the years or teams to watch to see like people's input, and then help us keep a closer eye, because some of those teams that don't stream their matches can't keep an eye on them if they don't stream.
and stream them too. Like
Yeah, and
even
I
if
know.
it's just your POV, just
Yeah, hey,
stream
if
your
you're
game.
streaming, put it in the Face
Yeah, link
Itself
it.
promo
Please
channel.
link it. Please
Yeah, we are
link
just
it. In
diving through those and
CO6, in
searching.
Face
Yep.
It, in CEA. I looked and there was literally like no post on Friday. I had to go and look it up on Twitch, and like it's kind of just hoping that you're in the algorithm up there, because who knows, right? So please link it. Like if you link it, we'll watch 100%. I know Jonah is also doing a really good job of trying to get like all of the teams' scores and keep track of them. So we're trying to help him as best as we can. But send us your results, help us out. You know,
Yeah, I would say
make our lives
scorelines
easier.
help. Yeah, I would say scorelines help to do these rankings because then we could compare strength of schedules and stat lines easier.
All right. Well, I think very successful first time on the Collegiate R6 channel here. Thank you guys for putting on a great show. I'd love to hear how your brains work going into these rankings, and thank you all for tuning in. This was a great, successful first night, and we hope to see you back potentially next Sunday and the Sundays following as we continue to dive into the rankings. We hope you all have a fantastic rest of your night. See you next week.